record. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody so much for joining. I'm super excited to do this again. I did this last February as I was still in the ministry partnership development process. And it was just a really great way for me to connect with people who were interested. And so I thought, well, I'm going to just do this as an annual thing and do it through Zoom so I can see people's faces, which makes it even more fun. And then record it so that other people can hear. I know I send out like a monthly thing, but it's also nice to just be able to kind of do a recap and share outside of just my own ministry, some things that are going on. So welcome to what I'm calling my annual live ministry update. So I'm really thankful for all of you to be here. It's a really big blessing and a privilege to be able to share with all of you. So just to start us out, a big thank you. A lot of you are not only prayer supporters and encouragers, but also financial partners in the ministry of TWR. And so I just want to say a big thank you because I quite literally wouldn't be here without you. And it's just been a really cool journey to see how God has allowed me to strengthen relationships with people who a lot of you I've known for a long time. But now I'm getting to see our relationship in a different way as a true partnership and as kind of really how the body of Christ is supposed to function in praying for one another and encouraging one another and walking alongside one another. So a huge thank you with some fun photos of the past, oh gosh, eight months. I've been officially with TWR here in Cary, North Carolina for 8 months now, which is wild that it's been this long. So just wanted to share some fun photos of some things that have happened over the course of the past 8 months. Lots of things have been going on. So we're going to just jump right in because I want to try and be efficient with time. And we do have a couple of guest speakers and want to make sure that they we're respecting their time as well. So here's kind of where I'm going to start. We're going to just talk through some of what my specific ministry stuff is, which, as most of you know, is a big part of that is the internship program. And so I just kind of want to share with you what's been going on in regards to the internship program. And then certainly as I'm sharing or as our guest speakers share, if you come up with questions that you want to ask towards the end, I'll have time for questions that we can chat through as well. So let's dive into some updates about the internship program. So this past summer, I arrived here May 1st, and on June, I think 4th or something like that, our 2021 class of interns arrived. And so I really just got to jump right in with the summer interns, and it really truly was a privilege. And so I didn't get to know these young people until they arrived at TWR's doorstep. I didn't get to walk with them through the recruitment and application process, but it was really cool to just see how God brought this unique set of interns together and used each of their skill sets in a really unique way. And now I get to stay connected with them, which is really, really fun. So we've got this past summer, we had 11 interns that served with us. 4 of them stayed in our offices here in Cary, North Carolina, while the rest went overseas to various places. So we had these 2 young men right here were on the island of Bonaire. These 2 guys and another young lady were on or in West Africa, Benin, West Africa. This young lady and another young lady who you'll hear from soon were on the island of Guam. And yeah, those were our 3 overseas sites this past summer. So again, we had 11, like I said, serve with us this past summer. And it was truly a privilege to see how they grew. Some of the conversations that I got to witness were just really inspiring and interesting. I will say at our debriefing this past summer with interns, we got into a heated conversation on the sovereignty of God versus free will, which was very interesting. And I'm sure Savannah's giggling on this call because that was part of the discussion. But it was just neat to see how young people who were ages, 20 to 22 were having really deep theological conversations and asking tough questions. And a lot of them are pursuing potential missions opportunities, in the long run. So just really encouraged to see how God worked through them and how I got to build relationships with them in really a quick amount of time. And so I try to text with some of them to stay in touch with them. And then we've also done a Zoom call to have some of them come back on and share some updates. So I believe one of our young men got engaged in December. Another young lady, this young lady right here, McKenna, she graduated and is actually moving to North Carolina for a different job. And so some of them are graduated, some of them are in the process of finishing school, and it's just a privilege to walk alongside them. So let's shift gears now. So I'm kind of doing the full cycle, right? I jumped into the actual internship program first thing, and then now I'm kind of going through the rest of the cycle. So 2021 interns left, and we geared up for recruitment for the next cycle of interns. So we've been at college fairs or career fairs, I should say, at colleges. We've been at a big missions conference, CrossCon, over New Year's, working to recruit for the next class of interns. So as far as kind of an update for summer of 2022, we have 2 interns who've already accepted their placements here at our offices in Cary. We have 4 engineers who've been interviewed for our site in West Africa, which is the only location where we're able to send engineers this summer due to some staffing changes and shifts. So that's been a little bit of a unique challenge to try and figure out which are going to be the right fit for a country like Benin, West Africa. And then we also have, this morning, I had 3 different interviews with interns, one of which was a journalism intern, and he's going to be moving forward with a position in South Africa. So we've got several decisions to make, and we're still taking applications. So if you know any college students who are interested in a missions internship, send them our way. They get to use their skill sets in a really, really unique and special way with TWR's ministry. So we're excited about what's to come. A couple of things that I'm trying to do with this year's interns that are a little bit different, because now I kind of get to make the internship program my own. We are going to be reading, as sort of pre-field reading, a book by John Piper called Let the Nations Be Glad. And it's really just a book about the supremacy of God and missions, and how missions flows from the worship of God. And so we'll be working through that book with the interns, and then do some follow-up and debriefing stuff when they return. So I'm excited about what's in store for this coming summer. And just to kind of share a little bit about why I'm so passionate about the internship program, at least 20% of interns have returned as full-time staff. And I actually haven't done the math in a while. I think that number might be higher. And so it is really encouraging to see, like, this is our funnel for getting younger people into the ministry. If you don't know a ton about TWR, it started in the late 1950s. And so it's been around for a long time, and it's pretty, I would say, more well known with some of the older generations, because there was kind of a gap in recruiting for a while. And so it wasn't, word of mouth wasn't getting out about TWR as much for a while. And so it's now we're starting to kind of really pick up and get more brand awareness, I guess is the best way to say it, with the younger generations. And the internship program is really how we do that. And so right now in our Cary office alone, there are somewhere around a rough count of 10 to 11 former interns who are now working as staff with us. And that's just in Cary. So even today I was in an interview, and our director of data management, he was an intern in the mid 1990s, which I had no idea that they even had an internship program back then. So it just goes to show, because now Chris, who's the director of data management, gosh, I mean, he's been with TWR, a good chunk of time, 20 plus years. So it's just encouraging to see how the internship program can affect our long-term employees. 5 of our former interns are currently in the process of raising support to become full-time staff. 2 of these ladies are included in that. I'm sorry, one of them is. This young lady did actually 2 internships with us, one of which was a volunteer internship. And so some of them will return to do even just volunteer work with us. And so it is really encouraging. I feel like I've used that word a lot, but that it really is. It's encouraging to see young people who desire to serve Christ through an internship program, dedicating their summers. They're going through the process of raising support, just like a traditional missionary would. So they're really getting a glimpse at what it would be like to pursue missions full time. And so we're really thankful for our interns and it being a way for us to funnel young people into the ministry. So now I'm going to introduce to you two people. I'm going to tell you about both of them, and then I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute so that Selena can share, and then Savannah will also have a chance to share. But Selena, I'm excited to introduce her to you. She's a current student at Lipscomb University in Nashville. I'll let her talk about what she's studying and stuff, but she served on the island of Guam this past summer as an accounting and finance intern. We're just excited about how she's able to continue to use her skills to serve at TWR. And then the next person you'll meet after that is Savannah. And Savannah graduated from UNC Wilmington in May of last year with a degree in communication studies, and just has a really sweet skill set with video and photo, and how she can tell stories that share the gospel with people. So I'm going to let Selena take it away and do a little bit of sharing about just what they experienced in their internship, and what were some of their favorite things about their internship? What are some things that the Lord taught them during their time? And so I'm excited to introduce Selena to you guys.
Hello, everyone. As Jennifer said, I'm Selena, and I live in Nashville and I'm studying music and finance at Lipscomb University. And so this past summer, I worked in Guam as a finance intern. And I would say, like, during the whole process, like, I've considered missions before, but like not like that deeply, I guess. And then this opportunity came up, and I was like, honestly, like, this was the only opportunity basically that I had last summer, because everything else, was shut down with COVID and stuff. And I love traveling, and obviously, I'm a Christian and everything, but like the thing that scared me the most was like raising support, because like I'm a finance major. I'm like, what are my professors gonna think? What's everybody gonna like think about that? And then like one of my friends, he said, Selena, if you feel like God's calling you to work for TWR and you don't go, you're literally running away from God. And I was like, shoot, you're right. So like, that was just like the thing that I needed in order to be like, yes, I'm going to Guam. And honestly, like the whole process of raising support, it was really hard right at first. But then like when I got overseas and when I was over there, I just felt like the love from my friends and family back home. And I was like, I would not be here if it weren't for them. And I think like growing up, I had this idea of like, oh, missionaries are these like next level Christians, like that, just like that mindset, I guess. But being in that field for like 2 months, I was like, no, these are just normal Christians, and everybody is like on the mission field, whether that's, supporting you financially or prayerfully. Like everybody is in it together, and it's not just about me, it's about God, and we're all doing it together. So I would say that was like a huge thing that I just like learned from just the whole process of raising support to like going overseas where I knew nobody. Because probably about like a week into it, I was like, I've seen the island, I don't know anybody, like I want to go home. But like the thing that kept me there was like my friends and family, like they helped me get here, and they're doing it for God, and I need to do it for God. And so that was just like, I definitely did not expect that. Like when I knew that I had to raise support, it was intimidating, but like in the end, it was a huge blessing. And like, I'm so thankful that I had that opportunity as a college student. Just because like now, no matter what I do in life, I'm like, I know that even if, I work at an accounting firm, like if I can still do God's work from that. I don't need to be on the mission field to be doing God's work. It's not about your job title. It's about how you're using the gifts that God gave you. So that was just a whole mindset and change, and like that blew my mind. So that was just a super cool experience. And then TWR is like, I don't know, I just love it so much. They are very like friendly and very like family oriented. And people know, like when you tell one person something about you, like all of the staff knows that, not in a bad way, like not like they're talking about you, but like they remember details that you told somebody. And then they're like, oh, Selena does that, you know? So just very like family oriented, which I think is cool. And like, I could go up to, like, I was only in the carry office for 2 weeks total. And I could go up to any one of them and would like have a deep conversation with them. And it wasn't weird or awkward or like, oh, well, you might believe differently than me. Like, you know, it was like, we still like respected each other's beliefs, but we could have those deep conversations. And I think that's just like a testimony of God and of like the work that he's doing at TWR. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. And then, so I've been working like remotely part-time while I'm in school, and I've still been working for TWR, like in the finance department. But like, even though I'm like miles away from anybody, people are still constantly checking in on me, texting me, hey, how are you doing? So it's like, I still feel connected, even though I haven't seen them face to face in months. Also, next summer, I don't know if this is officially news to everybody, but I will tell you, I am actually going back to Guam. They asked me to come back, so I prayed about it and decided that I'm gonna head back there this next summer to spend my summer with them.
Awesome.
So yeah, do you guys have any questions or anything else that you want me to talk about?
Just tell us like one, besides the work at TWR and mission stuff, what was like a highlight of your experience on Guam?
There were
I know
so
that's
many
hard,
highlights. I would say one of my biggest highlights was just like connecting with other people on Guam. Like everybody there was super friendly. I love getting to know new people. And like I went hiking a lot, like out on the weekends and stuff. And we basically, me and the other girl, McKenna, we found a hiking group like our first week there. We met them at the church that we went to. And so like every week we were just like hiking with them, doing fun activities. So like outside of church or outside of TWR, I would say like building community outside of that. And like one of the guys, actually, he's in the States and he's probably going to come to Nashville in a few weeks to visit me. So I just like think that's super cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But
I think you guys did a really great job of intentionally making connections with people outside of TWR, which was really cool to see.
yeah. Well, and even like before we went, we were like, we wanted to have a church. So like McKenna and I researched churches together, and then we would reach out to the churches because we were like, we wanted to have a church family when we got there, instead of like for the 2 months we're there, instead of like going to 8 different churches, you know, and not building a community. So we were like very intentional about like going to a church and like sticking with that church, you know?
Yep. That's awesome. Well, I know that Carol Whitten is just like ready to bring you on and take over her position when she retires. So we're super thankful for you, Selena, and I really appreciate your willingness to share with my friends here.
Yes.
So thanks for joining us, and you're free to stay, but I also know that you have rehearsals. So if you need to hop off, feel free.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Selena. All right, next up is Savannah. And as I said before, Savannah is a communication studies graduate, and I'll let her share what she did this summer and a few things about her experience. So Savannah.
Good evening, everyone. I did an internship this summer under I'm actually going to change my view so I can see everybody. I did my internship this summer under the Marcom video team, which is a really cool team that TWR has. To kind of give an idea of the structure on the two video teams they have. We have Marcom Video and Motion, which both serve a really unique opportunity that I love to see in the mission field that I really am passionate about and think there should be more of. Just something of like the simple fact of everyone here, I think you can have some kind of relation with Pixar or the impact Pixar may have had on your children's life or your life when you were younger or your grandkids. And when you see the power of media and the power of storytelling in that way, and then seeing a ministry like TWR using that power to be able to reach people. So Motion does a lot with church planting, but the team that I worked on this summer, we do a lot more TWR focused videos, but it's really, really cool to see how even the videos that are promoting the ministry per se are actually a ministry in itself. So a little background on how I've come to know TWR. I was kind of around ever since I was born. My grandmother's been working there for 31 years now. So my first time in the office, I was 2 months old and she kind of just approached me. And I had no idea, even though being around the ministry for 21 years, I had no idea there was an internship until my freshman year in college when my grandmother said, "Hey, you really need to do this. I know you do. This is right up your alley and I can really see the Lord using it." So I have so much respect, and my grandmother she just has such a big spiritual impact in my life. When you have someone like that look at you and tell you, "I think the Lord wants you to do this," you do it. So it was pursuing that and seeing just it fall into place to the fact that I'm a really firm believer that if the Lord is leading you to do something, he will make a way for it. And this even came up for me in my internship. To the fact I was in a really unique place in my life. I had just taken a job at my church, and it was almost like a feeling of, I don't think I'll be here much longer, but I saw the internship as a scapegoat. But in that, I actually buried the internship because I was so focused on my own work. I completely forgot about it. Did do the application for like 6 months. And then next thing I know, the Lord brings it right back up again. And it's just really cool to see. And I loved how Selena spoke to this too. It's like when the Lord is leading you to something, it's very hard to run away from it. Just think of Jonah when he was running away from Nineveh. Which I'm really grateful for that, for the Lord's grace and patience in those seasons that we run away to get us back on track. And that even came up even in my MPD. I feel like I had a really unique MPD process as well. And I just want to take a moment to thank all of you. I know you are partners with Jennifer, and I think that is a beautiful thing. And we are all called to the Great Commission, and you all have a very unique role in that by supporting her. And I just think it's a beautiful thing, especially with someone like me that was able to do an internship because people like you said yes to participating in God's work. For me, a big part of my support actually came from my family. And a story I just want to take a moment to share there was one of my grandmother's brothers who was years running away from the Lord. And my grandmother told me to send a letter of just talking about my internship to his wife. And it was one of those things. She was like, "I don't know if they'll support you or not, but it's worth the shot, to reach out to them. They should at least know what the Lord's doing." Well, they ended up being one of my biggest supporters. And then on top of that, not like 2 months after they agreed to supporting that, we found out that he had turned his life around and was back with the Lord. And he was talking about how things like that were coming up in his life where he could see like the Lord is still moving and is still doing things. So a little testimony that I really feel like motivated me heading into the internship as well. But moving on to that, just touching more on what the Lord did this summer and why I'm really grateful for the opportunity TWR gave is the ability to take a skill that so many people in the secular force are really trying to eat up right now, to market, to to spread their own brand, to just really target people for a secular sense, seeing it and being able to use that skill set to advance the gospel. There's a lot of stories out there that people have no idea about. And if you can take video and something that people really pay attention to and tell these stories and show what God is doing, it sparks a fire in you, and it reminds you that he is still working. And that came up this summer for me as well in a project that we are currently continuing to work on. It is actually in Suriname. So in the jungles of Suriname, there's actually 2 tribal groups. It started with one main one. And this family, they're called the Shones. The Shone family, the husband was a contractor, and his wife always had a heart for wanting to be in missions. And he just wasn't going to do it. And so after the Elliott family, when they were killed by the tribal group that they were ministering to, Mr. Shone had that moment of, all right, I'm leaving this behind. I'm going to Suriname, pack up the kids, we're going. And they first, of course, did ministry training before they went down there. But next thing I know, this tribe is now just on fire for God, because they went down there, they joined the tribe, brought dentist help, which is the reason why they didn't kill them. And next thing you know, they're taking a only phonetic language. Mr. Shone then wrote it down, translated it, and this year they got their first completed Bible. And it is a story that, coming into this internship, it just came out of right field. We had no idea it was coming up, because TWR was just starting to work with the Shones to put radio towers down there. Of course, this is a very abbreviated version of that story, but the tribes are now starting to get separated because of deforestation and outside influence. And so now TWR is getting ready to put towers down there to kind of help keep that revival that's still going on, and encourage these tribes, because these tribes are now becoming missionaries. They're going to places that we can't go, to the fact that they send out groups to find other tribes that have been missing for years, tribes in Brazil that have never been communicated with from the outside world before. And because of their unique position, they're able to spread the gospel. Now, tying that back into my internship, being in a position on this team to be able to tell that story to people like you and people outside of TWR, to show that God is still moving in a very powerful way. It's something that is unmatched, in my opinion. And it's something that it gives a new meaning to creation and creating new ideas, new concept, and also storytelling, which is a really, really big part of doing video. It's being able to tell a story and tell it effectively and carry the power and the influence of that story, which is something you'll see at TWR at all levels. They're very, very intentional about how do we spread the gospel in a way that is meaningful and touches the heart of the people, that we take their heart languages and we to share the gospel with them, or we help church planners and communicate with them, make sure that the people that hear our programs are connected with. And there's an intentionality in this ministry that really impacted me this summer. It wasn't your stadium evangelist, let's just shout the gospel to everyone and then hope they all got it. It's more of, let's go down there, let's equip other ministries. And talking a little bit about what Selena said too, about this ministry is a family, and it's not just with the staff, it's with other ministries, it's with the people that they're reaching. And to me, it's a picture of what Paul says when he talks about the church. We all have our different skills. We all bring something different to the table. And TWR is just the beautiful picture of that. Not one person is alike in that building, and not everyone has near the same skills. And if they do, they're on their teams, but they're each bring something that another person doesn't. And the fact that there's harmony in that, and the fact that the gospel is being spread to a greater volume because of that, is the heart of, I believe, what Paul was saying when he championed what the church should look like. And so that is something that I really love to share about this ministry, and why another reason why I'm so thankful for being a part of it this summer, just to be able to participate in a new way, and what it really meant to be a part of the church and reach other people for Christ in a way that I had never gotten the opportunity before. And it also helped me open my eyes to, and Selena also touched on this, no matter where you are, even in your fields today, you can be a missionary, whether it's by supporting another missionary, whether it's about talking to that person at work that is maybe going through something, a hard time, smiling at someone at the grocery store, or helping them get something off the shelf. Like having the mindset that every single moment can be a moment for the advancement of the gospel, and can be a moment of sharing Christ's love, and to be a moment of intentionality. And it takes a lot of work, but when we are able to be intentional, and no matter where we're at, whether it's in video or in HR, even at TWR, if we have that intentionality, we can be able to champion Christ in a way that a lot of people don't even think about it. And so I just love that about this ministry, is using very unique skill sets and be able to still be a missionary and still be a part of what God's doing.
Thanks, Savannah. I don't know, but I just feel like I should be done talking and we can just let Savannah preach. And I'm always very encouraged. I tell Savannah all the time, she is wise beyond her years, and I'm super thankful for her friendship and really her sisterhood. I've pretty much told her I adopted her as a little sister because I don't have younger siblings. So we always joke that we must have been separated at birth a little bit, because like we have a lot of things in common. So I'm super thankful for you, Savannah. And Savannah continues to use her skills by volunteering. She works over on the coast here in North Carolina, where her family is, but she's also volunteering her skills to the ministry. So Savannah, thank you for who you are and for sharing with us this evening. I'm super thankful for you. Yeah, so you're welcome to stay if you want, but you don't have to if you got things to do. But it's always good to see you, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, now that we've talked a little bit about, sorry, what's happening here? Sorry. I gotta go back. Okay. So now that we've talked a little bit about the internship program, I guess I probably could have talked about this a little bit more beforehand. But I just wanted to announce this was made official at the end of last week. Technically, my job title has shifted a little bit. I'm doing all of the same things. It's just more responsibility now, I guess. So my official title now is U.S. Coordinator of Short-Term Missions and College Recruiting. So the short-term missions part is staying the same. The college recruiting piece I've already kind of been doing, but now I just have a little bit more authority to make decisions about the schools where we're recruiting and the events that we go to. So that's been kind of a recent update, and I thought I would share that as well. And part of what we call short-term missions here at TWR, it's very different than maybe those of us from Cornerstone. Growing up, we went on like a week or two mission trip here and there. What we consider short-term would be anything from our internship, which is about a 2-month program, up to a year's time of service. And so we have the internship program, which we talked about, and then we have the Embark program, which is also under my purview. And the Embark program is for individuals, really mainly individuals who are interested in serving longer than 2 months. So what we would say like 3 to 12 months. And so that is really designed for maybe a recent college graduate or a young adult who's looking at pursuing long-term or full-time missions, but they're not really sure yet. And so they'd like to go and get a little bit more extended amount of time experience. And so that's really what the Embark program is for. And so currently we have Evan, who's serving with us in Eswatini, Africa, which is formerly Swaziland. He's serving for 9 months as a mechanical engineering intern. He went from graduating in May of 2020 and raising support to living, had never been abroad before, went to live in Africa for 9 months, left his family and his fiance behind to serve and use his skills and ask God, are you calling me to missions? So we're just excited that he is serving with us, and I do a check-in with him about every 2 months or so, just to kind of see how things are going. We're super thankful his fiance gets to go and visit him in February. And so we're just thankful that he's maintaining good health and he's growing spiritually in his walk as he just seeks after God. He went from living with a bunch of guys in college to living on his own in Africa. So certainly a big change. We also have a young woman. Her name is Iria. She will be coming to serve on the department that Savannah worked on, actually, Marcom, which is Marketing Communications Video. So Marcom Video, she'll be coming from Germany to North Carolina at the beginning of next year for 4 months. So you can be praying for Iria as she works to develop ministry partners to help support her over those 4 months. And she will be coming from Europe. So it's a little bit different. We're used to sending people from here in the States overseas. And so now she'll be coming from overseas here to the States to serve with us. So we're excited about her skill set and what she will have to offer. Okay, so as you all probably have figured out, TWR is kind of broad, right? There's lots of things going on. And honestly, I could sit and talk for hours about the things that are going on here at TWR, but I just wanted to pinpoint a couple of kind of ministry highlights outside of my own personal ministry of things that are going on. And so this was a recent, as you can see from January 13th, a headline. There's been some turmoil and kind of political strife in Kazakhstan over the past several weeks and months. And so this is just kind of a highlight of how TWR is able to reach people in areas that are being affected by political unrest and turmoil. So it's exciting to see how God is able to use something like radio. And I tell people this all the time. I don't even listen to the radio here in the US, but radio really can be a lifeline for people. And so I love what this listener said. Hello, I received the radio. You have no idea what a gift you gave me. Thank you very much. I'm so glad. I cannot even hold in my tears. Thanks. So again, radio, something that I don't really pay a ton of attention to here, is super impactful in places that are being affected in significant ways by political unrest and war and strife and suffering. Another thing that we've been working on is Radios for Africa. Sometimes it's called Africa Needs Jesus campaign. So we have a radio partnerships team here in the US. So sometimes if you listen to Christian radio here, you might hear advertisements if it's one of our partners for TWR. And so we basically partner with radio stations here to get the word out about TWR, to raise funds, to help us purchase actual radios to distribute in various countries. So one of the things that they're working on right now within radio partnerships is raising funds for Radios for Africa. So you can see down here some of the countries that they're really focusing on to reach Africa. And again, this is part of the world that would be difficult to get like an internet connection. You know, TWR does have a smartphone app, but there's certain places in the world where it's just easier to be able to use radio. And we tell people all the time, radio is still our main mode of communication with TWR. So even though we do other things now, it's still really impactful and really important. And you may have heard me say this, and you may not know this, but radio waves cannot be traced by the government. So in places like North Korea, China, Cuba, Afghanistan, Pakistan, you know, these difficult places, people can listen to the radio with a little bit more freedom, I guess. You know, they still have to be secretive, but it's not like they'd be logging on to the internet and doing any type of internet search where it can be traced. TWR Motion, that's the other video ministry that Savannah mentioned. And this is an integrated ministry for TWR, and they literally are illustrators and animators, and they create video series for church planters to partner with them to be able to visually share the story of the gospel of Christ. So literally one of their series is called Share the Story, and it is the story of the entire creation, fall, redemption, and resurrection story that they translate into various languages. And so they're really focused on the Arab world and trying to work with church planters there to develop partnerships and make sure that people are able to hear and see the story of the gospel and the importance of story. So we love our ladies and gentlemen that work with Motion and use their skills in a really, really unique way. A little update on Through the Bible. Some of you may be familiar with Through the Bible with J. Vernon McGee. It's been around for a long time. TWR is one of the main kind of managers of Through the Bible. You can see here, we manage about 100 of the 130 languages that Through the Bible is in. And so we have a liaison here at our office in Cary, who has worked with TWR pretty much his entire life. His name is Harry Bettig, and he shared some updates with me today because I was asking various ministries for some updates. And so one thing that he shared with me is that the Creole translation of Through the Bible aired in late December. So they finally were able to finish that up after several years of working to translate that. And of course, they try to have it all in the same voice, so that it's consistent. They currently have it in 2 voices. So the next project for the Creole is to get it all in 1 voice. And then also the national language of Papua New Guinea, Tok Pisin, I think is how you say it, will hopefully be aired sometime in the spring of 2022, so this year. So again, Through the Bible continues to reach people in all sorts of languages with the story of Jesus and the story of salvation. Our Pani ministry, Pani is short for Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Northern India. And so obviously, as we have watched over the past several months, this is an area that has been profoundly impacted by politics and war and the Taliban and all those other dynamics that are happening there. And so TWR's Pani transmitter has the potential to reach 210 million people, which is a lot of people who are desperate for hope and in the midst of suffering. And so it's exciting to see how we have various programs that are being broadcast into 12 different languages in that area. So just continue to pray for people's hearts to be softened as they are seeking some type of truth and hope. And the listener stories, honestly, when I was pursuing this work at TWR, the listener stories are what just sold me, I guess, on the ministry of TWR. I don't like to use the word sold, but truly, I think when I get the emails that have listener stories in them, that's the reminder of like, okay, this is why we do this. So this is from an Arabic speaking listener in Jordan. I am from a Muslim background, and I've recently accepted Jesus as Savior. I found your program a source for me to understand our Lord. Thank you so much. I get excited every time I listen to a new episode, as I feel I get closer to God's heart and understand his will better for my life. So hopefully that's an encouragement to all of us that people are still being reached, even when the world that we live in seems crazy and it seems like things are falling apart around us, that the hope of the gospel is still being shared with people all over the globe. So I wanted to just share a couple of praises, and then I have a couple prayer requests, and then if anybody has questions or comments, we can chat some more. But praises that God continues to bless TWR's ministry with record financial giving. God is just, I mean, the reports we're getting are really incredible. And so it's just cool to see how we're going to have all sorts of projects that are going to continue to go forth, but also new projects that get to be developed. Like the one Savannah mentioned in Suriname, that's one that's going to become even more of a priority. And so it's cool to see how even in the midst of, finances being uncertain for a lot of people, God continues to just blow us out of the water at TWR to demonstrate his faithfulness. And so it's exciting to see that. And also in the past 2 years, they've seen record numbers of people who want to come serve, whether that's volunteers or full-time staff or missionary staff. I mean, it's just, we constantly are getting inquiries about people who want to come serve with us. So praise God for that. The harvest is plentiful. So, another Cornerstone couple have been approved to come serve with TWR, and I believe, if they're still on this call, Matt and Pam Folkert. So we're excited to see them potentially come serve with TWR as well. And as a lot of you might know, Jim and Sue Walker also joined TWR and are serving on the island of Cyprus in Europe. And so they have settled in there. So we're really thankful to see more Cornerstone people joining the TWR family. So praise God for the Perspective 2022 interns and just the people that he's bringing who otherwise wouldn't have known about TWR if we weren't focusing on that young generation. And that's personally one of my goals, is to just really bring awareness through various platforms about TWR to the younger generation. On a more personal note, I am going through the process of becoming a member at the church that I've been attending. So I'm really thankful for that community and the teaching that happens there. And also praise God that he's provided for me personally, again, just a wide variety of new friendships through work at TWR, but also church, and then the volunteering that I've been doing at a farm here in North Carolina. So God continues to be at work, and I'm super, super thankful for his provision and his kindness and his grace, because I certainly need it on a daily basis. So if you would be continuing to pray for several different things. One is that, COVID has, whatever our opinions are about it, it has proved to be challenging with overseas and international ministry. So if you would just be praying for all of the ministries that are dealing with people who've died, or people who are really ill, or people who can't work because of extended sickness, just please be praying for all of our ministries to be restored to normal functioning in the midst of COVID, and continue to pray for the health of all of the TWR staff around the globe. We have had a great number of people really ill. Our whole finance team here in the Cary offices pretty much have been out of the office for like 2 weeks now. So just continue to pray for the health of staff. Pray for people's hearts to be softened toward the gospel, that the person who turns on the radio in their car in Singapore would hear the truth of the gospel and just be open to that. Pray for our departments that are undergoing change in personnel. There's several departments that we're seeing people come and go, and so that can prove to be unique dynamics. And so we just ask that you would continue to pray that God would provide the right people and bring unity to our teams as we work to serve him together. And for me personally, just continue to pray that I would find joy and contentment in my identity in Christ and the work that I'm doing here. The evil one always has a way of trying to discourage us. So if you just continue to pray for that, and that really God would be glorified in the work that I do at TWR and in my personal life. And then again, if you would continue to pray for this coming summer's interns, I would really, really appreciate it. So I know that you all just heard a lot of things, but I just, again, want to say thank you so much to all of you who continue to partner with me financially, but also prayer and encouragement. I was gonna get out the pile of cards that I've received since I started at TWR, and I forgot to do it. But I'm just really thankful, and I'm not gonna cry because that would be silly, but I'm just really thankful for the body of Christ and just the people who have poured into my life over the past 2 years in this process of coming to TWR. Beth Raymer, I see you over there giving me a little heart. So anyway, thank you for coming and joining. If anybody has specific questions, please feel free to ask. But it's really wonderful to see so many of your faces. I love it. All my people. So most of you are all muted. So if you want to say something, make sure you unmute yourself. But if you don't have anything to say or questions to ask, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Jen, it's just great to see you. And I see your mom. And
Yes.
I love that. And Uni, I see her from school.
Yes.
So cool. Anyway, thank you for doing this. I think this is so key for those of us that may not know day to day and week to week and month to month what your job may look like. And I love that the interns were willing to come on and talk to us. I think that's great. So thank you, Savannah and Selena, right?
Yeah.
But I just love it. Thank you.
Well, I just props to Caroline. So Beth Reamer's daughter is in ministry with Campus Outreach in Alabama. And she actually is the one who did this first when she was in the process of raising support. And so that's what gave me the idea to do this. So thank you to Caroline for giving me the idea to stay in touch with people this way. So yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, my friends, thank you again for joining. And Dad, did you have a question? No, okay. Anyway, thank you all so much. It's good to see you, Joy and John. I'm praying for you guys as you remember Nona this week. And thank you for being here and taking time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jennifer, and thank you for all we do, or all you do. We are so proud of you.
Thanks, guys. Awesome. All right, well, everybody, y'all, as I say now, because I'm from the South now, have a great evening, and thank you so much again for joining. I'm super thankful for all of you.
Love you, girl.
Love you, Beth.
See you soon.
Yes, 1 month.
Yay.
I'm so excited.
Love you, Jen.
Love you, Shan.
Mason and I love you. That's why
Mwah.
there's no video on.
That's okay. Snuggles
Love
for
you.
baby Mason. Love you.
Yes. Bye.